Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show. I'm your host, Jared Petty, and I'm joyfully joined today by the gleeful, the handsome, the friendly, the intelligent, the debonair,
Ryan Scott.
Ryan Scott, indeed. Ryan Scott, where do we know you from?
Well, lately from the Comedy Button.
The Comedy Button, indeed. That zany romp that is the Comedy Button. A group of gentlemen that sit about and make fair jokes about, I don't know, everything or nothing? Yeah. Life, the universe.
Nonsense.
Nonsense, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are a professional comedic presence in our world.
Okay, all right. You're overselling that.
How many episodes? You guys did
I'm kind of the straight man of that. I'm the very boring guy in the comedy show.
But the straight man is the secret key to great comedy. The straight man is the hardest role in comedy, I think. I don't know. What do you think? You're a professional comedian. I'm not.
I don't know how to answer
what a
that.
straight man answer that is. Say, yeah, I mean, you do kind of play the role of the straight man on the Comedy Button. You're surrounded by a group of very zany human beings. You're very funny yourself constantly. You come in with quips quite a bit. You also you do. What's your favorite in 300 episodes of the Comedy Button? What's your favorite moment? Like, just thinking about that now. If you think back.
My favorite moment.
Yeah, what's your favorite moment? And all the time in the Comedy Button that you've had.
You put me on the spot.
Well, that's what this show is about.
And it's actually, I should say, it's more like 370 some episodes if you count all of our cool Patreon episodes.
Oh, that's true. You got the Patreon episodes on top of that. Plug, indeed.
Yeah.
Patreon, you say. The Comedy Button's on Patreon. Plug away, indeed. But yeah, in all those episodes, like, what do you think your favorite moment is?
I don't know. I mean, there are all kinds of times where, the things that stick out to me are when the times when somebody will just sort of invent a character out of thin air.
Okay.
Like there'll be just some new character and it becomes part of this. Somebody will do a funny voice.
Uh-huh.
And it becomes part of this goofy canon, and people, our audience will be like, "Oh, when's Starchy, the crazy potato man, gonna come back, or whatever?"
What characters do you portray funny voices for?
The only I don't really. Well, other than my normal voice, which sounds like a cartoon character, the only kind of character I've ever really invented for the show that took off is a character named Applejack.
Okay, please define for us the personage of Applejack.
Well, he's a centaur.
A centaur, all right. Half man and half
horse.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's my bad Homestar Runner impression.
Okay.
So I'll be like, "Oh, I'm Applejack. Oh, I'm a centaur." And I'll start asking me questions, and we'll start making up nonsense.
Okay. What are Applejack's? If we were getting into the character of Applejack, let's pretend for a second that I am James Lipton and you are Applejack. What is the core of Applejack? What makes Applejack himself? What are his hopes? What are his dreams? What does he live for?
I mean, it's whatever nonsense. You'd have to ask everybody else that, because they'll,
Well, you're him, though. I mean, you define his voice. You're the one that talks like Applejack.
Well, yeah, but everybody, what we'll do, the thing that if you have listened to the Comedy Button, which you have, you've been on it.
I have. I've been on the show
very best episodes
quite a few times. Oh, that's so sweet.
The thing that we do with a lot of these character bits, which will come as no surprise to comedians and people who are into that kind of thing, is it's improv.
Okay.
Right? And the thing that that they've had to teach me and kind of beat into my head that I've had to remember is yes and.
Yeah.
How improv works is somebody will come up with something, and then the other person has to sort of like roll with it, and we say yes and just keep giving somebody openings. It's about enabling the people around you, or that's I'll be like, "Oh, I'm Applejack, I'm a centaur," and somebody will be like, What's with that wobbly leg of yours? And I'll have to be like, "Oh, well, I fell," whatever it is I come up with.
Okay.
And I tend to be the kind of human being who I'm the guy on Twitter who's always like, actually, about everything. Like I tend to sort of like, "No, that's wrong. Let me tell you." And that's sort of like goes against the spirit of improv.
Okay.
Right. And so it's the kind of thing, like every time we'll do some character bit on the podcast, that sort of gets me like, okay, I have to, this is how this works.
You have to leap into it and actually. So you've refined the I mean, you've been doing this for years. How long's Comedy Button been around now?
Well, that podcast has been around since 2011.
Okay.
We were kind of, it's sort of a spin-off / continuation of the GameSpy debriefings, which was our old podcast at GameSpy.
So you've been working together with these people for close to a decade doing this.
2009 was when we kind of started this. When we were all kind of in a group for the GameSpy debriefings, and we sort of continued off of that. So.
But you've been refining the craft this whole time. Applejack, why is he called Applejack? I have not listened to the origin episode for Applejack. I've heard him pop on the show many times, but where did he come from?
I don't remember where the name came from.
Okay. So he's not like named after cereal. He's not named after...
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like... I'm sure one of my co-hosts probably came up with the name.
Okay, does he have...
I totally forget. Yeah, I don't...
Does he have any defining characteristics beyond his funny voice?
I mean, it's pretty much that. Somebody will ask me some goofy question, and then some new fact will get added to this canon about this dumb character, which is just always how it worked. It's... I kind of don't know where we're going to go, until, like...
Is there an Applejack, like...
I mean, I have this whole kind of idea in my head. We have this... this other character that one of my co-hosts, Max Scoville, came up with called Duck Nukem.
Okay, Duck Nukem,
which is a duck, but it's like Duke Nukem, but it's a duck.
Except it's a duck.
Because
that's funny.
And he'll be like, quick! Oh, I'm laying these dirty eggs. Like this silly duck with a Duke Nukem voice.
Okay.
And I have this whole idea that like, oh, this is Applejack's arch nemesis. He was like a schoolyard bully to Applejack. And,
which of them is the hero and which is the villain?
Well, Applejack's clearly the hero. Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever...
Applejack's very nice.
Will we ever see Applejack versus Duck Nukem?
Maybe. The game?
Yeah. Applejack versus Duck Nukem?
I don't know.
Are we ever going to play this?
I don't know. Maybe somebody on Twitter could make it.
Oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Maybe, I don't know.
Now I'm terrified. All right, so Applejack and Duck Nukem, funny voices aside. Funny voices. You mentioned your own voice. So I'm a person that's very self-conscious about my voice. I have...
Your voice is totally fine.
Oh, you're very sweet about that.
Mine
I'm
is not.
I don't like it very much, my own. But I don't think anybody likes their own voice. Actually, there's a question we always ask on Instant Noodles. Ask it now. What's the first word that pops in your head when you hear the sound of your own voice?
Nonsense.
That's
I sound like a cartoon character. Like, I don't sound like a real person.
I love your voice, but I agree that you sound like a cartoon character. I'm with you there. Well. You do. You sound like in the warmest possible way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can compliment people in a way that sounds like an insult. This is a genuine compliment. Like once a friend said to me that I reminded them of Dustin on Stranger Things in all the best possible ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's a backhanded compliment, but it warmed my heart because I love Dustin. You sound to me like one of the characters on Garfield and Friends. Like one of the barnyard animals.
Oh, really?
That's I'm sorry. I hope it's okay that I said
No,
that.
it's okay.
But your own voice, you're self-conscious about it. It's extraordinarily pleasant.
I've missed my calling as some ridiculous voice actor.
Oh, you'd have been a wonderful voice actor. Absolutely. Who's your favorite voice actor? Do you have one? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you're very conscious about voice. You're surrounded by people that are interested or connected to that industry. Do you have a favorite voice actor or a favorite? Even if you don't know the name, do you have a favorite cartoon character voice? Someone that just stands out. I'm a big fan of,
I mean, I can go with like the obvious answers like Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Okay.
And Kevin Conroy. I was always a big Batman fan.
Okay. Well, Kevin Conroy's Batman is extraordinary.
Yeah. And, I mean, those are the kinds of people that, when you read comics or whatever, those are the voices you hear in your head, right?
Okay. So that's your favorite?
Right now, it's David Tennant because he's Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah.
He's such a great Scrooge. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Because the voice actor that played Scrooge previously personified that character. Yeah, for decades.
Yeah.
And David Tennant has managed to make that work. Do you think that would have worked without the pedigree, or do you think it's just the talent? Like, how much of it is the gravitas of a respected genre actor?
That would have worked. I don't think if they had like a non-huge name actor in that role, as long as he did a good job,
it would have worked.
It would have worked. Well, I think it still would have worked. I don't think that voice work is necessarily about the name attached to it.
I agree.
Like this is a bad example because I'm in no way a fan of My Little Pony.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear to the internet.
Well, I am.
Oh, well.
So please continue.
All right. But I remember seeing an ad for this movie because the movie came out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the commercials for this movie were all, just were hyping up like the name actors that they had gotten to voice some of the roles in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going like, oh, well, they have all these. They're hyping up all these name actors, but what about all of the voice actresses who are just like that is their show and they're in every episode and like what they? It seems like their due credit is sort of displaced by like this name talent.
I tend to agree with you on that. I have heard there are times that actors that are primarily known for stage or screen do inhabit a character. I mean, Woody and Tom Hanks are synonymous. Likewise, Tim Allen and Buzz Lightyear. Those are big name stars that made characters work, that are characters, not just personifications in themselves. But by and large, I think voice acting is a remarkably different talent and a remarkably different art. And some people are just great at it. And you mentioned not being a fan of My Little Pony. I think the voice acting's really good on the show. So I kind of hate to see.
I've seen a couple of episodes of it. It's well done. It's nice. It's a charming show. I feel obligated because of the way that the internet kind of treats that show.
Yeah.
The weirder parts of the internet to say that I'm not part of that fandom.
Oh no! So
I don't have anything against the show.
Sorry, Ryan. I think that the headline for this is just going to be Ryan Scott hates My Little Pony. Oh. That's where we're going with this. I think that's
all right.
If you're going to take anything away from this show, it's that Ryan hates all things magical and cute. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All
Do
right.
you think that's fair?
That's how the internet would put things. Anything.
You know what?
Yeah.
Here's the nice bit: the Pockets Full of Soup community, nice people, friendly folks. The Super Friends, good people, just wonderful.
Except Aquaman.
Well, no, they're the Super Friends. The fans out there, SOUPER.
Oh, the super. Oh,
the Super Friends.
I see.
That's right. There we go.
I understood that reference.
Thank you. Right there. That's right. There we go. So Ryan, other than voice acting and comedy, we also talk about other things here on the show. For example, we ask you to tell us about someone you're thankful for. So I'd like to know, who do you want to talk about today?
Well, I feel like it's sort of in the grand scope of how you could answer that question. I don't want to say boring.
Why boring?
Well, I'm sure it's the answer that a lot of people would go to.
Okay.
But my wife, April.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, we haven't had many spousal stories here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. It's actually we've had some, but
a lot of
not
parents.
Many. A lot of parenting. And then a lot of parenting.
I'm grateful for them too.
Well, that's it. It's not who you're most thankful for. It's just someone you're thankful for. So let's talk about your wife for a moment. Thankfulness for a spouse, not a particularly surprising approach to take, but I'm going to jump right in here and start with what about this person you love that you decided to marry and spend the rest of your life with drives you crazy?
What drives me crazy?
Yeah, what drives you crazy?
I feel even really silly kind of bringing up
I love that you're changing color right now. Nonsense is a part of the nature of nonsense is part of the nature of relationships, right? I mean,
well, she'll do things like people are going to hate me for saying. I know people on the internet are going to have a problem with this. I'm very sorry. We have a Keurig coffee maker.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know
the little cups.
I'm destroying the environment. I'm the worst thing.
You're obviously a monster.
Since Hitler. Yeah, I'm obviously terrible. But we have a Keurig coffee machine, and we'll make cups of coffee. Whatever.
As people do.
And she'll take the pot out, after it's been used, and she'll place it in the sink.
Oh,
I'll be like, "What are you doing? Why are you putting trash in the sink?" And she's like, "It's gonna, maybe it'll melt the trash bag. I don't want to put it in there." Like, no, it's.
She's afraid that
what are you doing?
Hot cup
You're putting
will
trash
melt
in
the trash
the
bag?
sink.
Really?
Yes.
Has the trash bag ever melted
No.
before? So when
there's
I say
little
to you,
things like this. I mean, it's.
How long have you been married?
We have been married. It'll be 9 years next March.
9 years of marriage, almost 9 years of marriage. I ask you, what drives you crazy about your wife? And you flash to the sink and the Keurig.
It's a silly little thing,
What does that say to you about the nature of married life and how it changes you?
That's a deep question.
I don't know if it's deep or not. It might be a terrible question. If you get a blank look from a question, sometimes it's a bad question.
No.
What does that tell you about how your life's changed when you're spending? I mean, you're with this person every day.
Yeah.
If you've never been married,
I work from home. And we are around to get each other a lot.
Okay. Does she work from home as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're both.
How many rooms in the place?
We have 2 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
So it's a small place. And it's you and her together all the time.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what does that do to your life? I mean, do you remember being single?
Well, I do, and it was, miserable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But
was it
I've also, like...
Okay,
I've never...
Stop here for a second. Why was it miserable?
Because nobody loved me.
Oh, is it important to be loved?
Yes, it's very important. It's the best thing in the world.
Why is it the best thing in the world?
Because, you have... Certainly in our case, you have this person who's completely on the same wavelength with you. That's got your back. You have each other's backs. Our whole philosophy is like, it's us against the world. We're a team. We've got each other's backs at all times, and we're not. We don't ever kind of like break that promise.
And you've articulated that to one another, like in those terms.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Who do you think who initiated that first? Do you know?
Probably me.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably me.
Okay. How'd you meet?
We knew each other in high school.
Oh, wow.
So we've known each other. I graduated from high school in 1998, and she graduated in 2000, and we knew each other in the late 90s.
Did you like one another then? Or did you know one another well? Or
we kind of hung out in the same crowd, so we knew each other. Okay. She... There were times when she came over to my house with my friends during lunch to watch pirate episodes of South Park.
Okay, pirate episodes of South Park. Wait,
before piracy was a huge thing.
Late 90s piracy? What kind of piracy are you talking about?
Just download episodes from the internet,
The stunning new phenomenon of being able to download content from the internet.
Oh, it was new. It was new in a way where we didn't really know that idea. We were just like, wow, it's weird. These are just they're available on the internet. That's really cool that you can watch a show on the internet.
It's funny.
It wasn't really like the thought of illegality never really kind of crossed our mind.
Well, that's kind of ironic because South Park Studios, they were kind of a trailblazer in online digital content. I mean, they made South Park available before you could go to South Park Studios and watch South Park before most streaming services were really off the ground.
Yeah. And this is late 90s.
Are you responsible for this? Did you drive them to that by stealing their episodes?
Oh yeah, it's full credit to me.
All right, full credit to you. So you and April and your friends would go and watch South Park together after school.
Well, she did. I mean, it's just an example. We kind of knew each other well enough that she would hang out with some of my friends, and I knew her through that. And she will tell you, and she will remind everyone endlessly for the rest of our lives, including me, that she had a giant crush on me in high school.
Really?
And I, quote, didn't even notice her.
Did you?
I didn't. I wasn't. She. I guess it's mean to say. I guess she didn't catch my eye at the time. I was super infatuated with somebody else over the internet, and it was awkward, and that didn't end well.
So you were infatuated with another person.
Yeah.
She had a crush on you.
Yeah.
Your eye was elsewhere, and you were not noticing the human being that was very interested. Although obviously you noticed them, but didn't notice the interest.
Oh no, I'm completely oblivious.
Did she ever vocalize this to you at that time?
No.
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 Did you ever ask her why afterward?
Oh, I mean, we were both like awkward, shy high school nerds.
Teens.
It's like George McFly. I don't think I could handle that kind of rejection.
Yeah, I think the cornerstone of most sitcoms I enjoy is people not communicating.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shows are about characters.
We've learned all about why that's important.
Yeah, if characters would just talk on TV shows, most of the major plot lines would never happen, which is why they don't talk.
Yep.
But more and more,
bad relationships more interesting on TV.
But I look at adolescence and think about how afraid I was to say so many things, and how much easier folks. Think about it. Don't just speak. Get a thought, then think about the thought and how it affects not just you, but the other person. And then, once you've thought it through, express it to the people around you. That can often be a very good approach because you give them a chance to tell you what they actually think. That's hard to do. I still have trouble as an adult doing it. But man, if I could go back in time to high school me and just be like, no, just say that.
Oh, if you could go back knowing what you know now, a lot of things would be...
What would you change? What's the first thing you change? If you could go back right now knowing what you know.
I would found Facebook.
Okay, that's fair. So you knew April in high school. So you guys, were you local? Did you live here in the Bay Area then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both lived in
Okay.
For all of our adult lives.
Home of Atari. Yeah.
Sunnyvale,
Fun,
home of Capcom USA.
Yeah, there you go. So you lived down there in Sunnyvale, and you knew each other in high school. So you were awkward. She had a crush on you. You were infatuated with somebody else. You hung out and watched South Park. Now, today, Ryan, how old are you?
I am 37.
You're 37 years old. You've been married 9 years to this woman. Marriage being what it is, she has your back. You have your back. Your partners. This is a human being that, like, you're naked in front of, which is kind of a weird idea. That doesn't happen with many people. I've never seen you naked. Most of us have not. How do you go from, hey, we kind of hung out and watched some TV in high school, to, hey, we have each other's backs for life, and I take off my clothes in front of you? What's the bridge? How does that happen? How did that happen to you and to her?
Dumb luck, almost. We were both. Well, we were together for a few months back, 2000, 2001, and broke up.
Okay.
And then didn't get back together for a number of years.
Why did you get together? What made it happen? Did she finally conk you in the head? Did you finally know what happened?
I guess kind of. Like, we were... So I was about 20 at the time.
Okay.
And we both worked at our local mall.
Okay.
I worked at the bookstore.
Yeah.
I worked at Walden Books.
Whoa!
And
holy cow!
And she worked
somewhere in the mall.
The Limited Two.
The Limited
Two. Remember
the
that?
Cinnabon. The Limited Two. I do remember the Limited Two. TOO. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But we
not just limited, even more limited.
But we had we both had a common friend, high school friend, our friend Jeff.
Yeah.
Who we still, a very wonderful person who we're still in touch with.
Yep.
And I forget how this worked out, but we were at the mall one day.
Okay.
And he remained friends with her, and we ran into her and just kind of hung out. And I cannot really tell you what the sequence of events was on that day, but it ended with us being like, let's get dinner.
Huh.
And she'll insist, I don't remember this, but April will insist that Jeff dared us to kiss and that we did. And that it went from there. But I don't.
I was about to ask you when you guys first kissed, and now
maybe then,
but you don't remember it. It's funny. My wife and I remember the day that we first met. As a matter of fact, I've managed to dig up the date that we met, the exact date, and we have slightly different memories of the first conversation. They're very, very similar. But where it first happened,
memory is a weird thing, though.
Memory is a weird thing. It's funny. You got these little electric impulses running in there, and they make pictures, and you're pretty sure they're right, but somebody else sees something a little differently.
Then one day your brain just flushes them out, and you never really know anymore.
What makes April wonderful?
I mean, everything about her, man. She's great. Like, we... and I'm sure this is all going to sound very sappy and whatnot. But
Sappy's good here.
But, we're sort of viciously codependent, but on the same wavelength. Like, codependent, when somebody usually uses that term, like, oh, such and such is codependent, it's like a really negative, it has like a really toxic connotation. Like, one person has all the power and one person is just like at that person's mercy, right? But we are super codependent on each other in like the same way.
How so?
Do you know what I like? Well, we both are. I think this may be a Pockets Full of Soup exclusive because I haven't really talked about this on my other podcasts. But we both are afflicted to varying degrees with clinical depression.
Okay.
Her much more so than me. I'm easy. I take like 5 milligrams of Prozac every day, and I'm centered. But we
But you both have clinical depression.
We both, yeah.
And chronic, would you say? I mean, is it something that's followed you for years? Or?
Her certainly.
Okay.
She learned and started dealing with it a number of years ago.
We talk about mental health in the show a lot, so that's a comfortable topic here. Don't hesitate to talk about it.
Oh no, that's something everybody should talk more about. The stigmatizing that is really, really bad. We gotta stop doing that. But and on my end, I think it's something like thinking back that was probably there for a long time that I I didn't really take steps to deal with it. I waited a while. Mm-hmm. But thinking back, it was probably there before I got a person to officially diagnose me.
Yeah, that's often the case.
Yeah. But we always, we're the types of people who can kind of just look at each other mm-hmm. and know, oh, I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly what's wrong. Sort of like, how long have you been married?
Oh, I've been married for 16 years.
Okay. You probably have some inkling of this. Like, you can just kind of shoot your wife a look and you communicate volumes with a single look.
There have been conversations that I'm convinced are psionic, yes. Just yeah. So you develop D&D powers after you've been married long enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are very good at that. Mm-hmm. And it just... She's great because to have somebody who's on that the same wavelength, who can sort of like, who just gets you, who can really kind of catch you when you fall.
Yeah.
We sort of we have this thing where one of us will be going through a rough day or a rough time or whatever, and the other person will be like, okay, it's your turn to fall apart. I gotta be your shoulder to cry on, and we sort of switch that role. And we're really good at it.
So you're able, because of your empathy and because of your awareness for one another's feelings, and it sounds like there's a lot of otherness, like a lot of attention to the other person as a part of that. And I want to ask you about that. Like, how did you learn to become? I don't know what you were like before you knew April, before the two of you were in love.
I was like this, but stupider.
What's it like? Learning to
way more whiny, if you can believe that's possible.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think you're particularly whiny, but you're constantly teased by your comedy button compatriots about whininess. We'll get to that in a minute. What's it like learning to care about somebody as much as or more than you care about yourself? How does that change you as a person?
If you go a number of years without having seen someone, and then you see them, you'll be like, whoa, you've changed a ton. You're way different than what I remember. But if you live with that person for 10 years and it's like 1,000 cuts thing, and those changes happen gradually, you don't even really notice.
Yeah, it's like when
that's with that.
Huh.
I can't. It's hard to answer because like it's taken place over such a long period of time. It's been so gradual that
it makes sense. You grow into it. It's not a magical momentary shift. Then
I mean, I can look back and be like, oh, the me of 15 years ago is probably just a completely different person.
Yeah.
I'm a different version of myself now. In terms of like kind of what I value and how I approach things than I was back then. It's like, I'm like a different Doctor Who regeneration.
No, it's very, I love the analogy. Beautiful. Well done indeed.
I think we all are as we go through our lives,
Yeah, it's like if you move away from a town mm-hmm. and you go back a decade later and you have friends that stayed in the town. The whole town's different.
Yeah.
The world changed. The world moved on while you were gone.
Right.
But you're much more aware of the change in some ways than they are.
Uh-huh.
But they're more aware of the change in some ways than you are because you're seeing the shocking alteration whereupon they've been there for the whole thing.
Right.
And each of you have grown in different ways. I like the Doctor Who analogy. That's beautiful. Which Doctor are you, Ryan?
Which Doctor am I?
Yes. Which is best Doctor?
Which is the best Doctor?
Which is best Doctor?
Oh, the best Doctor is David Tennant, number 10.
There you
clearly.
go. Look at that man.
Clearly.
Scrooge McDuck and Best Doctor.
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
The Doctor, as the internet has called him. Yeah, that's the only right answer.
What about Fright Night, David Tennant?
It's a very different David Tennant. That's a very rebellious kind of David Tennant.
That's a little leather for David Tennant.
Yeah. And that's a man of great range.
Yeah.
He can be the most endearing, wonderful person you want to hug, or your favorite uncle. Or he can just be the world's slimiest, creepiest, scariest person if you watch Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
He can inhabit all of these things.
So this is the story of how Ryan Scott fell in love with David Tennant. Let me ask you this. What's your favorite story about April?
I mean, I like seeing her really happy.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're both like the most docile homebody type people. We're very boring. We don't do stuff. We're not very worldly. We just want to. We're like, this is something my friends on the Comedy Button tease me about a lot. My friend Brian, he'll always be like, you haven't. When's the last time you ventured outside of Sunnyvale? Like, take your wife to Paris or something. Go travel and see the world and experience all of.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both of us are just kind of like, well, we'll go somewhere for a weekend and be exhausted and want to come back home. Like, we just want to sit on the couch and watch, just marathon a YouTube series or something. That's bliss to us.
That's what makes you happy.
Just chill, quiet, But every now and then, I'll do so. I'm not the kind of person to make grand romantic gestures. I'm really bad at having those.
Yeah.
Having ideas for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very boring. But every now and then I'll do something, like I'll surprise her with something, and she'll just be overjoyed, and super happy. And I love doing things that make her really happy. One of the things, this is a little silly, but one of the things that she had often expressed was that she wanted to go to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest monument to consumerism, right? Disneyland, woohoo!
Best monument to consumerism,
and also best, yeah. And there was one day, I decided, okay, we're gonna go to Disneyland, and I bought tickets and all this stuff in secret. And then, like the week before, I was like, hey, come here. And just hands her this piece of paper with this ticket, and just watching it register to her, like, oh, we're gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just seeing her super happy, that always makes me very happy.
So you guys really do live kind of quietly and love small things. Like that's your nature. Yeah. Quiet things, not small. Small is wrong. I don't want to, because it's not a matter of scale. It's more you're quiet people together.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Our idea, like you said, scale doesn't matter. The things that make us the most happy aren't necessarily those big things. Like we'll remember things like, the days when we'll just sit on the couch, just cuddled up, whatever. We'll wake up in bed and just hang out with each other in each other's arms for like a couple of hours or something. That's what makes us really happy. Maybe that's really silly and simple, but
silly and simple aren't the same. I think that's actually a good note.
Just being with each other is super important. There's those little moments. Little moments matter a lot in life.
That's a really good note to go out on. I like. Thank you, Ryan.
Are we going out? Is that it?
Well, we're going to the far left turn that comes with instant noodles. But first,
all right,
we got to thank our Patreon producers, Nick Rie and Robert Nieder, whose generous support makes this show possible each and every week. And also to all our patrons, thank you. Thank you for keeping us alive. It is extraordinarily generous.
You're
extraordinarily.
Awesome.
Yeah, you are
all
awesome.
You supporters on Patreon.
Yeah. The fact that you're willing to do that. Thank you for keeping us going. Thank you for making this happen. Whether it be Pockets Full of Soup or Ye Old Comedy Button, we appreciate it. And saying we appreciate it, you can't know how much it impacts our lives and really does make a difference in what we're able to do every day. Thank you for that. And also the things we're able to create. And for all of you who watch or listen in any case, or the Pockets Full of Soup Facebook group members, at all, etc. Thanks to one, thanks to all, thanks to those of you who write letters, like you can at mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. That's mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. And feel free to reach out there. We always love to hear from you. And if you want your letter read on the show, just let us know. So now, Ryan, are you prepared for the tour de force, the coup de grace, the something else in another language? Dare I say the deja vu? I don't know. Not the menage a trois, but whatever the case may be, that is Instant Noodles, the lightning round.
Okay.
All right, you ready for it?
All right.
What is best sandwich?
Am I supposed to, is this just quick fire? Am I supposed to?
Just give me an answer here. What is best sandwich?
There's so many ways I can answer that. I knew you were going to ask me this.
Yes, you did.
And I thought about this, and there are so many, let me tell you about me and sandwiches.
I love that this begins with pontificating. All right,
okay.
Please continue. I knew you were going to ask about this, so I'm going to debate it. Please continue.
A lot of, any sandwich that I would eat.
Yeah.
it would be very dumb and boring to people because I'm so picky about the ingredients that I will put on things.
Well, what makes that boring? I mean, pickiness doesn't necessarily define boring, does it? Like that just means.
Oh, when you're me, it kind of does.
How so?
If April would tell you that I'm a very boring eater.
Okay.
That is how she would characterize this.
Do you eat bland food or just eat a very limited range of food?
Well, I tend to be picky about my vegetables.
Okay.
So I'll be like, cool, turkey sandwich. Put some mustard and tomatoes on it.
Okay.
Sweet.
Turkey, mustard, tomatoes.
Boring.
What kind of bread?
Hold on, this is not my answer.
Okay.
I'm just giving you an example. I'm just
okay.
giving you an example of my blandness.
Okay, so turkey, tomato, mustard.
Yeah, or like, I'll be like, I like a good cheese steak, but don't put any onions or peppers on it. Just the meat and cheese, please.
Just the meat and the cheese.
Yeah, I'm like a child when it comes to my food.
Okay, so you like kids menu food?
No,
why not?
I'm like a child. I don't order off the child's menu though.
No, but like
I order the grown-up food and just make them take a bunch of stuff off.
The adult portions from the child's menu, because so far what you're describing are kind of kids menu food.
I'll get a nice cheeseburger, ketchup and mustard only.
No onions?
No.
No?
I don't like onions.
Oh, you like onions?
No.
Okay, all right.
Now, but so in the spirit of that, I will answer your sandwich question with this: a good peanut butter and jelly.
And what makes a good peanut butter and jelly?
It's all in the jelly choice.
Oh, okay. So you don't care about creamy chunky.
I go either way. I would err toward creamy.
Err toward creamy. And
yeah,
what's the jelly choice? That's important because I'm with you on that.
Well, when I was young, and still to this very day, all my parents ever bought was Smucker's apricot pineapple jelly. That's all. That's all. That's the only jelly.
Pineapple.
That's the only jelly to this day. I will go to their house, and that is what they will have in their refrigerator. It's like nothing else exists.
That's just what they know. There are people that know what they want.
And to me, they are. To me, when I think back, peanut butter and jelly, like that was just jelly. That was the definition of the jelly. And then when I got old enough to start being selective about my own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I realized there was a whole world of jelly choices out there.
You were very excited.
That was amazing.
Let's stop for just a moment. Did you ever eat out as a child? In restaurants. Okay.
Yeah.
So surely you were aware of the little self-contained little
jelly
packets
that came with like toast and
you had the grape and you had the strawberry. So you knew other jellies existed in the world.
But in our house we had the Smucker's apricot pineapple.
Did you never request other jellies?
Not really, no.
Okay. So you didn't have a lot of jelly investment. When was your jellyful awakening? Your jellial awakening.
I can't point to a specific day or incident that.
Yeah, I looked at that grape and suddenly I understood. I felt something inside myself.
But a good peanut butter and jelly.
All right. So what's the ultimate jelly? What's the one you pick now?
Lingonberries.
Ooh, smashing through the lingonberry with Ryan Scott. That's right. All right.
Go to IKEA and pick yourself up some lingonberry jam.
Stuff's really good. Lingonberry jam's great.
It's the best.
Yeah, I like jelly and jam both. Do you like jelly, jam, preserves across the board, or are you particular? Okay, I wasn't sure because I know you have a reputation for being finicky.
When it comes to like fruit and fruit-based stuff, I tend to not. I'll eat anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right.
What's something dumb that's happened when recording the Comedy Button that you can tell us about but we haven't heard before? A lot goes.
What's something dumb
or wonderful, something noteworthy, something that's happened in that room? You go into the room. You're all there recording together. There's a lot of chicanery before the mics are turned on. There's a lot of chicanery afterward. Lots of goofy things happening. You think of a moment that just stands out in your mind as like, why did that ridiculousness just happen here?
I mean, that's just the whole motif of our show.
Right.
I mean, most of the stuff you've seen, most of the stuff gets the really goofy stuff gets captured.
It's on. Yeah. It's
and when we're doing something really stupid, a lot of times these days, like we'll record it.
Okay.
We'll I mean,
the mic will be on.
My
before
co-host
the
Max,
starts.
he'll whip out a camera and just film us having some stupid conversation in the kitchen, or like we'll just get some dumb idea and roll with it and like you just record like we did this video. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/doesnt the Comedy Button.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's me reviewing Rowdy Roddy Piper's Bubblegum Soda.
Oh, there we go.
It's just like an off the cuff, like, okay, we're doing this. Like, all right.
How many stars out of 4?
It was probably like 1.
Okay.
It's weird. He really was all out of bubblegum. There are a lot of conversations that we've had in Ubers. A lot of just goofy conversations that we've looked at and went, oh, we should have been recording this.
Can you remember one?
I mean, no, it happens weekly. Those are just the kinds of guys that I record with, that like everything is nonsense. Where
the 4 of you in a car just being idiots together.
It's a shame that this wasn't caught on tape.
Well, that's what being friends with that group of people is like, and you know them better than almost anyone, I think. So let me ask you this. What's the stupidest thing that's ever happened on the Comedy Button? 370 episodes or so. What's just something monumentally stupid that sticks in your
it's
head?
a sea of stupidity.
It is, exactly.
It's an ocean.
So if you're going to plumb the depths of the sea of stupidity, if you're going to go down into that trench in the abyss that the nuclear bomb fell down in your spacesuit and get to the bottom where the alien entity of stupidity of the Comedy Button dwells forever and prepares to rise up and reveal itself to the human race, what is the stupidest thing you can think of that you guys have ever done?
Jeez, I don't even know if I could make a top 10 list, man. Like, and the thing about recording, how many episodes of this have you recorded?
We're nearing 60 plus Patreon exclusives plus some other shows.
When you get to 370 some episodes, counting all those Patreon exclusives, you start to forget about, people will remind us of things. There'll be people who are like, oh, I just started listening from the beginning. Oh, I loved in episode 50 when you said such and such. And we're like, I have no memory of this.
No, that's happening. Counting Patreon exclusives, we're getting close to 100. And already there are things I'm like, did that happen? So, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Recent things, recent stuff is what jumps to mind. And, I don't want to get too political on this show, but we did this off-the-cuff bit where we imagined what the Alex Jones of Middle Earth would be like.
How did that happen?
Yeah. I don't know. I
haven't heard this one.
I think that we were talking before the show, and my co-host Scott Bromley, his wife didn't know, and she had never seen Alex Jones and didn't really know what he was about.
Okay.
And we started. He has this whole thing. He refers to people as goblins.
Yeah.
And we started going off about, we started telling her about him and some of the crazy things that he would say, and calling people goblins, and that just sort of led into like a Middle Earth,
goblins, the preferred nomenclature in The Hobbit, but superseded by orc in Lord of the Rings proper most of the time.
Yeah. Right. But we started going off about it's like, oh, the scouring of the Shire, false flag operation. It's just all this stuff that tying
I have
Middle
not
Earth
heard this episode yet. Do you know which episode that is? Do you remember it?
It was 301. It was just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I have not heard this yet.
There's a whole.
That's messed up and
a whole
definitely stupid.
Bit.
Yeah. So let's follow up with Middle Earth, and this is something I do want to ask you about. You do play the part on that show of the straight man. You really are the person that things get bounced off a lot of the time. You're kind of the voice of sanity. You're the actually guy. You come in and do that a lot. You open up improv. You have a very definite role in this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
You also do a lot of the production work for the company. I mean, you do a lot of behind the scenes stuff as well. All of you do different things.
I am nominally sort of like the business guy that does all the taxes and does all the spreadsheety boring stuff.
So that's something everywhere, I know about that too.
Mine's the website.
But you get
Sorry for our website. We're going to improve it one day, I promise.
Part of the Comedy Buttons thing is you are the brunt of a lot of jokes because of that straight man role. That's part of how comedy works.
That's just how
to bounce things off of.
Yeah.
You take a lot for the Doctor Who and the Middle Earth and kind of the uber geeky world of things. But you're surrounded by equally dorky human beings. I mean, they're interesting.
Oh, I remind them of this at every opportunity. Yeah.
So how does that like?
I have podcasts with two guys. Their desks at work are just covered with Ninja Turtles action figures. Like they're not. You know, you be careful throwing those stones in this glass house, guys.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. What I wanted to ask
you
about,
they totally know. So
of course they do. How does that dynamic make good comedy? That's what I wanted to ask you.
Oh, now you're asking about like comedy theory. I don't know.
No?
See, I'm not a comedian though.
You run a comedy show.
But I don't. But if you were to ask the actual, look, the guys that I podcast with, they are. If you listen to them on our show, which I recommend you do, they are just effortlessly this way. Mm-hmm. They are the same people off the microphone and off the camera that they are when we start recording. Nothing. They're not putting on like a character. Mm-hmm. They're not like, oh, now I'm doing my comedy thing. Yeah. That's just the people they are.
Right.
They are naturally,
hilarious.
As Brian,
working near those people were some of the funniest years of my life. Just sitting a few desks over.
I mean, their lives are a constant, ongoing episode of the Comedy Button. Yes. That is their life.
I agree.
And Brian Altano, he would say that he just has a particular kind of brain damage that makes him that way.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, is a troubadour.
And I don't know. I mean, the what makes great comedy? Like these people are that's just the people they are.
Okay.
And I'm sort of this guy who's just sitting there being like, all right, cool.
So what's your role? What? Because you're obviously an integral part of what's going on.
I'm the Egon.
I'm the Egon mold, spores, and fungus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And made part of it slinky until I straightened it.
And it's true. Harold Ramis doesn't have... I don't know, but I feel like he gets a lot of the best lines.
He does. He's the best Ghostbuster. You kidding?
Egon is...
Yeah. I was crushed when Harold Ramis died.
Oh, that hurt.
Oh, man.
That did hurt.
Yeah, he was the guy who made geeks cool. The first cool geek. He was the guy who really... Or at least in my...
Your headcanon?
In my, as far... that was what I looked at when I was young to be like, oh, it's okay, he's cool.
Egon is bodacious.
He's not the butt of jokes. He's an important part of the team.
He can say things like, that would be extraordinarily bad.
Yeah.
And people pay attention.
Yeah.
Because they know Egon knows what's going on.
But I am the Egon of the group.
Oh, excellent. So who's Winston? Who's Venkman? And who's?
Like I haven't thought about this.
Okay. So who are they? Who's Ray? Winston? And
Max Scoville.
Uh-huh.
Have you had any of those guys on this show?
Max has been on. Brian's been on. I haven't had Bromley on yet.
Okay.
And Gallegos has been on as well.
Oh, nice. Good. So you're a long time band of the show or familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Max Scoville, he is Ray Stantz.
Okay. What makes him Ray?
His sort of almost childlike wonder at the world. His just genuine exuberance and
Okay.
Brian Altano is our Peter Venkman.
Okay.
He's certainly like kind of the front man, like kind of the face of the whole thing, like
snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's warmer than Venkman. I don't know, Venkman can be really warm. And what about Bromley?
Well, hold on. I got to give a shout out to Anthony Gallegos,
okay,
former co-host of the Comedy Button. He left episode 250.
Yeah,
but there are 250 awesome episodes with him.
Yeah,
and he's our Winston.
Okay,
he's our kind of normal, go with the flow guy,
laid back,
chill. Yeah, you know. And then Scott Bromley is our Walter Peck.
It's true, sir.
Kinda.
All right, yeah. There we are.
In a good way.
What
though.
Makes him Walter Peck?
He's not like a super villain. He's sort of in a good. If anybody's going to be the devil's advocate, when we're sort of thinking about things, it's going to be him.
So he's not an evil Environmental Protection Agency agent.
No. Right, leave that to the government. We've got plenty of those already.
These are good analogies, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hey, if you look at fun fact, if you look at any kind of group like a ensemble group in a work of fiction, you can all slot them all into that Ghostbusters personality archetype sort of,
I like that
thing. Yeah.
Are you going to make a BuzzFeed quiz? Which Ghostbuster are you on the
I'm
comedy
sure
button?
BuzzFeed has already done that.
Which Ghostbuster are you on the comedy button?
Oh.
That needs to exist.
There we go.
Not.
Which comedy button Ghostbuster are you?
Are you? Definitely.
Yeah.
I like that you're Egon. That's the way to be. Now cross the streams, folks. Never do it. Cake or pie?
Oh, pie.
Well chosen. Well chosen. That's a clear opinion there. Is cake one of those things that's on your list of things you don't want to eat?
Oh, cake's great.
Okay.
But if I had to choose, it's pie.
Well chosen. What's the best pie?
Oh. The easy answer that comes front to mind is key lime.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah.
I love key lime pie.
I do too. You've ever gotten to do Florida Keys? Go down and do key lime pie?
Yeah. Yeah. A few years ago, April has family who lives down in Florida, and we went to visit them and I made it a point, like, we have to have some key lime pie here. It's excellent.
I'm not funny, but I love
You're way funnier than me.
No, nonsense. But I love being with funny people. And
you tell better stories.
Well, I just ramble, and eventually it's really just more like the monkeys and the typewriter. So just never stop talking. So sooner or later, good stories come out, and people just remember the good ones and block out the bad ones. That's what happens. But thank you, it's kind of you. I have this genuine desire someday to travel. I want to go with the Comedy Button guys, with all of you, to Cave City, Kentucky, and the surrounding area, and visit all the tourist traps around there. I want to go to the concrete.
Is this like a Sam and Max location?
No, well, it is. Yes, it's a real world Sam and Max location.
Okay.
With like fun houses and a concrete wigwam hotel and a giant concrete dinosaur world, and not too far away, Stonehenge of Kentucky. And like I want to eat. I want to go to these places and then stop and eat with you, and go to these places and stop, because I think that would be the most amusing 3 days I can imagine spending. It would be so much fun. And a lot of it has to do with the conversations over food that seem to occur every time I'm with you guys. And the other would be with trying to imagine spending the night in a concrete wigwam with Brian Altano. That also seems like a good evening. So that's just a dream that I'm sharing with you now.
All right. I will pass that along.
Pass that along. I think I've mentioned that to Brian before. I want to go to... I want to visit Cave City with you. It's the best place in the world.
All right.
Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. Ryan, thank you so much for coming here. Where can folks find you? Because Comedy Button's not all you do.
No, comedybutton.com. You should go there and listen to that podcast. It's awesome.
You should.
If I say so myself.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great.
You should also go to geekbox.net. You should listen to the Geekbox, which is my gaming and kind of geek pop culture podcast that I've been doing since 2009.
Wow. 8 years.
We're on episode 442.
Geekbox.com.
Geekbox.net.
.net. Okay, what happens if you go to geekbox.com?
That is a computer company.
Geekbox.net. All right.
Don't go there. Yeah, go to geekbox.net.
Yeah, tell us more about this, Ryan.
I worked at oneup.com, and then they laid all of us off. And then I decided to start a podcast to fill the podcast void, and that's the Geekbox, and it's been going ever since.
Who's on there with you?
Who?
Yeah, who is it?
It's me, my very good friend Ryan Higgins, who is the proprietor of Comics Conspiracy, Sunnyvale, the South Bay's greatest comic shop.
Okay.
I say that without hyperbole; it really is. And that's the site where we record each week. And then we have my friend Justin Haywald, who you may be familiar with him certainly from OneUp. If you're familiar with me from OneUp, also him, and he's over at GameSpot.com now.
Yep.
And we have another OneUp alum, Alice Liang, and my friend Adam Fitch, who is a game localizer who works for Natsume.
He's half of the Fitch gaming duality, right?
Yes, yeah. Adam and Andrew Fitch, they are twins.
Yep.
And we've had them both on at the same time. It's very weird because it sounds like someone arguing with himself.
That's kind of amazing. Folks, thank you for watching and listening. And check out geekbox.net. Check out the Comedy Button. Check out this fella right here, Ryan Scott. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.